happens when an older man is drawn to a younger woman. He forgets that he's already complete. He forgets that all with the dynamic flippage doesn't equal power. The years, the bottles, the lessons, those are his tapa. But in that rush of dopamine, his adjusting, he starts softening his edges, shrinking himself down, trying to fit into her world instead, off standing solid in his own and thoughts. When the dynamic flips, she stops seeing the man and starts seeing a guy dreamed to impress, trying to be cool, trying to win her, and just like that, the attraction disappears. This video isn't about judgment, it's about clarity. It's about helping you keep your dignity, your masculinity, and your self-respect intact in the face of temptation, admiration, or even genuine the but connection. We're going to talk about what not to do when you're in that presence of a younger woman, and how a man, a grounded man, a man in full possession of himself would approach his entire situation differently. These aren't just dating tips, they're life strategies. So, if you're tired of being confused, manipulated, or thrown off course by Kimono, who hasn't even lived half your life yet, this is going to be a wake-up call you didn't know you needed. Stick. By the end of this, you're going to see exactly where men fall and how you can rise by doing less, not more. 1. Don't try to be her age. You're not their peer. One of the Moscow mistakes older men make when engaging with younger women is trying to shrink themselves down to her world, trying to talk like her, dress confidence versus desperation like her, or pretend they get her pop culture references. It usually starts from a good place, to connect, to relate, but what actually happens is the complete opposite. You lose the very thing that made you a wearisting in the first place. The moment you try to act like her peer, she stops seeing you as the grounded, authentic, experienced man and starts seeing you as someone trying too hard. And no matter how subtly you do, she can feel it. Women, especially younger ones, have a sixth sense for authenticity. When an older man tries to cool by making her lifestyle, it feels off. Not because of the age gap, but because of the reality is, your age is not your disadvantage. It's your edge. You've lived, you've failed, you've arisen again. You carry something she doesn't even understand. Yet presence, a deep, depicable presence that only comes from time in the trenches of life. Thus, what draws her in? Not your ability to nami some trending TikTok dance or quit her favorite Netflix show, but to slow down fun older men feel they have to keep up. When in fact, the most attractive thing you can do is slow down, be still, not be solid. Let her run her bell around you, while you stand firm in your center. Let me give you a real-world Imagine you're on a date, and she mentions how obsessed she is with some 23-year-old but you could pretend you know who that is, laugh along, maybe even pull out your fake scroll like you follow them too. Or you could simply smile and say, don't follow that stuff much. I'm more into conversations that don't decept mystery, and that's what catches her off guard in best way possible. Not because you are trying to be her, but because you are reminding her, you're a net. That is paradox. The moment you stop trying to be relatable, you become magnetic. 2. Don't become her emotional sponge. Another trap older men often fall into, becoming the emotional sponge for a younger woman, absorbing all her chaos, confusion, and childhood wounds in the name of being there for her. It starts innocently enough. She pawns up above her past. Maybe her ex treated her badly. Maybe her parents were never around. Maybe she's working on herself. And because you're older and emotional amateur, you listen, you want to help, you feel like maybe, just maybe she sees something in you she can't find in boys her age. But slowly emotional outsourcing, you find yourself being her therapist, her emotional dumping ground, her night phone call. When life feels overwhelming, and deep down you think this is building a connection. I'm the one who understands her. She chooses him. But the truth, that's not romantic, it's emotional outsourcing. About women, especially younger ones, will unconsciously gravitate toward older men for a sense of stability. If you confuse emotional caretaking with attraction, you'll get stuck in the most frustrating position possible, defined and dressed up as intimacy. You'll hear about her bad decisions, her conflicting dates, her mental health spirals, but none of it will lead to respect or desire. Why? Because a stoic man doesn't tend to indulge himself in drama to feel needed. He provides calm by simply buying them. He listens without rescuing. He offers insight without investing. There's a difference between being emotionally available and emotionally absorbent. One is grounded, the other is needy, dressed up as nice. Imagine she tells you crying about her latest situationship. And instead of diving into fix-it mode, you just say emotional storm. That sounds like a lot. I hope you give space to figure it out. That tone line, it signals that to a present but not caught, she feels Don tried to impress her scene but notable to latch on and pull you into her emotional storm. That's stoicism in practice. It's not about being cold. It's about knowing theatrance between offering presence and sacrificing your peace. A man who's mastered his emotions doesn't let someone else's turbulence pull him off course, no matter how pretty the storm looks. 3. Never chase her validation. There's a subtle but deadly mistake that older men make when dealing with young and chasing validation, that it doesn't always look desperate, and sometimes it hides behind compliments. Vernon all yourself trying to provoke you to, or subtly seeking grasp that she still likes you, but the energy underneath it is always same do you, of me and them. She senses that chasing validation energy. The dynamic is ruined because no materia, age, status, or experience, fear orbiting around her opinion or view. You've given her the power. You've made her the judge, the prize, the one with leverage. And women, especially younger ones, are hypersensitive, tough as imbalance. It's instinctive. They're not always conscious of it, but they can feel when a man is subtle bending for their approval. Instead, off-standing, rooted in his own worth. Man does not beg for attention. He doesn't need to be constantly seen, acknowledged, or praised to feel centered. His sense of value is not up for debate. If she's interested, great. If not, also great. He moves forward either way. That level of emotional self-sufficiency is magnetic because while other men are dancing like Cora gestures, trying to get a smile or a heart emoji, he's simply being he's bothered, and that unbothered energy isn't cold, it's rare. And rarity is, let's say, she leaves your message honored. A man chasing validation might double text, drop AM, or say something passive-aggressive like, guess you're a bossy lol, but a grounded man, he doesn't flinch, he's not playing games. Buddha is also not playing catch because he's not waiting to be chosen, he already hoes himself, and that's what makes back yourself first. Stop, scroll back, and wonder why you're not reacting the way every other man does. When you stop chasing hairy action, you become Theon worth reacting to. Don't try to impress, lead instead. There's a huge difference between impressing a woman and leading her. Most men, impressing versus letting, especially older ones, trying to win over a younger woman, get caught in that trap of the first. They start listing off accomplishments like air zoom. They drop casual mentions of Decker, they drive, the places they've travail, the money they've made, or thick connections she have. And while some of that might be impressive on paper, it rarely has the effect you think it will be, because women don't fall for your words, they fall for the way you move. Impressing comes from a place of lack. It says, look at me, please approve. But leading says, here's where I'm going. You're welcome to join me. If Italan's with you, one seeks approval, the other offers direction. The more you treat to prove your value, the more you reveal that you don't fully believe in it. That's the paradox. A stoic man lead by example, not exhibition. He doesn't need to broadcast his worth. It just shows up in the way he cares himself. She doesn't need a PowerPoint of your achievements. She needs to feel your certainty, your clarity, your grounded presence. That alone creates gravity. A younger woman, especially once figuring out her own path, doesn't want to be dazzled. She wants to feel in. And only a man who trusts his own path can give her that picture. You're out to dinner with her. Instead, offering to impress her with stories of success, or subtly name-dropping no, you order the meal with confidence, make eye contact with the waiter, and lead thee without rushing or shing off. You asked thoughtful questions, not to impress her, but because you're genuinely curious about how her that's leadership, that's presence, and that's what sticks in her memory. What young women actually respect when the night ice there, not how much you made last year, but how solid felt in your energy. Impressing is about her, leading is about you. And when you lead, she naturally follows, not because you ask her to, but back because she wants to. 5. Don't project long-term fantasies early. Own off. The most dangerous things an older man can do when dealing with a younger woman is to project the future onto her. B. There's even you goon a few dates, have some deep conversations, maybe there's chemistry, maybe even intimacy, and suddenly in your mind, she's the one. You start imagining what life would be like if she moved in, how your friends would react, what kind of vacations you'd take her, how you'd guide her through life and help her grow. It happens fast, too fast, and it usually stems from a loneliness, a desire for significance, or the hope that this woman will somehow complete you, or give your life a new sense of meaning. But Lynch, what you are really doing is building a fantasy out of thin air. You're not relating to her as she is. You're relating to the version of her you've created in your head. Stoicism teaches stoicisms to stay grounded in reality, not in wishful thinking or romantic illusions. When you project long-term fantasy, a person who's barely stepped into your life, you stop seeing clearly. You overlook red flags. You start investing emotional energy into a story, not a person. And here's the real danger. Wench doesn't match that story. You don't just feel disappointed. Did you feel betrayed? But the betrayal wasn't theirs, it was your own projection. A stoic man learns to enjoy what's real, what's proven, not what's even. Not to be her backup plan, what's imagined. Let's say you've been talking to her for 3 weeks, and she's sweet, spontaneous, says all the right things. Catch yourself wondering what she'd like as a mom, or how she'd look walking beside you at family events. Stop, pull back, remind yourself it till, is the highlight reel. Stay curious, not committed, because it's easy to fall in love with potential. Beautiful connection takes time, consistency, and clarity. A man, rooted in himself, a distant rush to right ending before he's even read the first few chapters. He stays present, detached, and observant, because that show you see people for who they be. The energy of stoic masculinity are not who you hope they'll become. 6. Don't be hard backup plan or emotional filler. Own off the most painful positions an older man can find himself in with a younger woman is becoming her backup plan. The safe, stable option she keeps in her back pocket while she chases emotionally school elsewhere. At first, it might not be obvious. She texts you when she's bored, calls when her situationship crashes, or makes you feel like you're her safe space. And because I are older, more patient, more understanding, you lean into that role thinking, maybe she's just not ready now, but she come around. But that mindset is a slow poison, because what's really happening, ICR being used as a placeholder. You're her emotional filler, someone who gives her the validation and support she is not getting from the men she truly wants to pursue. And the moment they come back around, you're pushed aside again. A stoic man goes into keep-off interest. He doesn't cling to someone who only reaches for him when that's convenience. He recognizes when the dynamic is lopsided and calmly exits. There's no drama, no emotional bricking, just the quiet power that says, if I'm not your priority, I'm not your option. And that surrenderation, walking away from being thick up, is what restores your power. Because at that moment you agree to be the support system for someone who has no intention of building something real with you. You surrender, you're suppressed, you start shrinking, jarred down just to stay in her orbit, even though the center of her attention is always elsewhere. Think of this example. She cancels plans with you but still wants to FaceTime late at night just to talk, or she vents about it, then says things like, I don't know it. I always feel better after talking to you. That's not affection, it's utility. You're not the one she sexy. You're the one who makes me feel emotionally fed when everything goes is falling apart. And as flattering as that might feel in the moment, it's a dead end. A stoic man doesn't orbit around someone else's chaos. He builds a life that's full enough, rich enough, and solid enough that he doesn't need Tachison. He simply chooses what aligns his peace. Anything less, he walks away quietly, fully, and never looks back. 7. Never lose your mission. There is nothing more self-destructive for a man, especially an older one, than losing sight of his mission for the attention or affection of a woman. And when that woman is vibrant, unpredictable, and full of emotional intensity, it'd be easy to drift off course. Final advice that changes the game. You start skipping the gym because she wants to stay in bed. You delay a final advice meeting because she had a rough morning and just needs you. You stop writing, building, leading, all in the name of Bavalaba, and little by little, without even realizing it, your life starts orbiting hers. Your goals take a back seat, your structure softens, your edge dulls, and the very thing that in some you're attractive, your direction, your purpose, disappears. A stoic man understands that his mission is not something he sets aside to make it work. It's the foundation of his life. Without it, he becomes anard, vulnerable to theme mood swings. Off-Wover holds his attention that week. Women are drawn to men who are going somewhere, who are rebuilding something with or without them. And when you abandon that path to ch connection, you don't gain love, you lose respect, especially from her. Because even if she doesn't say it out loud, she feels it. When a man starts placing her above his path, she stops seeing you as a leader and starts seeing you as another man who is willing to build. Think of the difference between Amon, who says, "I can't talk right now," Utro in reflection, "I'm deep in a project for Susti," one who instantly picks up every call, cancels plans, and rearranges everything to be present. Thy first man is living on purpose, thus is living on approval and shake and can feel the offerance. The truth is, if a woman genuinely cares about you, she wants you to stay loyal to your mission. She admires your discipline, even when it means less time with her. But if you give that up for her, you'd become more desirable. You beck men of the manholist himself, trying to something that can only be given freely. A stoic man remains unmoved by temporary emotion when it risks regret. He walks his path no matter who walks beside him. Conclusion. So here's the truth, and I want you to with it for a moment.